So people with bipolar understand they have it. They just don't know when it's coming and what they're going to do.
Certainly, Pat didn't.
Yeah.
He had no idea. And the next moment of that is he talks about how he's been white knuckling it this whole time and not knowing, and now he's got it. And then the whole thing is he's got a strategy now. I think that we live in an age where, because of social media and because of awareness, first of all, when I was in grammar school, I remember there was a kid in my school, and they just said he was special. There was no semantic connection to autism or bipolar, and there's two schools of thought with that. We never had so many autistic people, or was it just not diagnosed?
Exactly.
There's a dialogue now, but there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, to destigmatize mental illness. I mean, first of all, it's not even treated as. Some people talk about mental illness is, you start to treat mental illness, if you liken it to cancer, as a stage 4 cancer. That's when the treatment starts. As opposed to when cancer is detected at stage 1, they can start treating it. But normally, a mental illness is starting to be treated when it's already almost too late. And then you have incidents that have been occurring, where shootings and. Yeah.
But people don't ask themselves, how am I different? Why am I different?
I'm sure they do. I mean, I did as a kid. I'm sure you did. I mean, you observe, your brain's working in a way. I mean, the thing about the brain is an organ, and you sometimes, it could be likened to other organs. I mean, it is something, and we sometimes don't understand what's happening. And when that happens to your heart, if it feels something, you get it treated. You ask questions. And I think it's just learning about verbalizing when we have those feelings so that it can be detected and treated. And I think we don't do that because it's stigmatized. So we think, well, if I say that, if I tell you I have mental problems, you're going to treat me differently. I don't want you to treat me any differently.
Exactly.
So I'm going to pretend not to. So if we destigmatize it, then I'm going to be more willing to talk to you. And that's the thing that's been happening here.
Right.
We've gone around in these Q&As, and I can't tell you, Charlie, how many people have come up and say, thank you. I suffer from this. I don't think I've ever told anybody. I certainly haven't said it publicly at a Q&A. And just, that's the power of cinema.
I'll tell you what did happen in a particular case of depression and bipolar or not was people like Mike Wallace.
Yes, that was a huge moment.
It was a huge moment.
Huge moment.
It was a bit like when Gerald Ford's wife talked about some of the addiction she had. It is, if it can happen to them.
And Terry Bradshaw also came and talked about it.
It happened to me.
Yeah.
And for them to talk about it, it makes people who are feeling the same thing say, I'm not alone. I'm not.
That's right. But now the question is, what do we do? These are certain people that have come out. Now let's get legislation. Let's talk about, politically what we can do in terms of funding and really start to make it easier.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, whew.
Tell me about it.
There was a silver lining in that movie. Oh, she's incredible. She is just, and I'll tell you, being on this awards, this is a very unique thing right now. Right. And, being with her, she's just, man, she's just something special. I love her so much. At 22 years old.
This is a long way from Hunger Games, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, for sure. And this is the closest to her, I have to say. She's very funny.
Did you know her beforehand?
No, not at all. First time I met her, Charlie.
How do you explain the chemistry then? I mean, it was like you two.
But, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's just, it's there, it's not. And the director was very happy that it was there.
You just feel it.
Yeah, it just flows. And then you start to play music together.
And that makes the magic of the movie, though.
Oh,
it's the relationship between the two of you that makes the movie. Don't you?
It certainly makes the sort of darker parts of the movie, or the things that people don't want to talk about, much more palatable. We're talking about mental illness, but it's packaged in a love story in this movie, which is very smart. It's like a modest proposal.
And it's a love story you think has no chance at the beginning.
That's right. That's right. Oh, yeah, you don't see that. They're not going to end on the street kissing.
No way. We're not going to have a Hollywood ending, are we?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And you don't, really. The message of the movie is not, you'll fix it with love. It's, people understanding you. That's the key. And she understands him. The first time he sees her in that, in that dinner, you see he's floored by the fact that he sees that she sees him. The one thing I experience is Pat is, and I've done this. When someone's a little off, even in the street in New York, wherever, the energy changes. And when Pat walks in a room,
step back.
And she didn't step back. In fact, she came right at him.
Exactly. Yeah. And so therefore he responded to that.
Of course, and the fact that she's just gorgeous. Yeah. And yeah.
There is also this dancing in this film.
Yeah.
You had to learn to dance the way You know?
Pat Wood.
Pat Wood.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was like 2 weeks of intensive lessons.
That's right. And then every moment not shooting up in a third-floor walk-up studio with Jennifer, going over this very bipolar choreographed dance.
Yeah.
And which was great. And, you know, the thing I remember almost most was we shot that dance in 2 days. And, you know, and everybody's watching the dance. And Robert De Niro stood there for 12 hours, 2 days in a row, watching us do this dance. You know, didn't go back to his trailer. You know, stood there, like Pat Sr.
Yeah. He almost seems like a kind of mentor.
Yeah, he is.
There's something special come out of this. Because there's this famous scene that took place, and we've talked about this before, and I'll show it again. This is when you were a graduate student at the Actors Studio asking one of your idols a question about acting. Here it is.
How you doing, Mr. De Niro? My name is Bradley Cooper. My question is regarding Awakenings. You talked about your research and how you interviewed a lot of patients, people who had different diseases. And there was one mannerism that you had during the interview process when they were asking you where you wanted to go outside the building, go for a walk. And you went like this with your finger, and you sort of made up for it by rubbing your eyebrow.
Right.
And I was wondering, is that something that you saw people do, sort of try to make up for their tics, or was that something that happened in the moment?
That's a good question.
You
got it. Right, yeah.
Right.
What time were we?
That's great. All right, let me go back to these other movies, though. So there's also The Hangover Part 3.
Yeah.
How many of these can there be, and is the answer as long as I enjoy doing it?
How many of the hangovers?
Yeah.
It's over.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't know if the other guys would do anymore.
Right.
I can speak for myself. You know, I would probably do more, but I think it does feel like it's you know, a Todd Phillips.
Did you see it when you first read it?
I saw that it was very funny, and I thought that it was I'd never seen a structure like that. I love the idea of a forgotten night, and the whole movie is the next day.
There's also The Place Beyond the Pines.
Yes. It has incredible experience, and I really do think, and I was talking to my friend the other day who did a movie back-to-back and about how sometimes that's almost the best preparation. I did this movie right before Silver Linings Playbook, and, you know, it's like an instrument or a sport. You know, you're all oiled up, and I learned a lot on that movie.
How much preparation, we often ask this factors, but how you prepare, people prepare differently. Do you simply want to deeply immerse yourself in as much as you can find?
Yes, that's accurate. Yeah, absolutely. And it means different things for different projects, but it's whatever you can do to get to where James Cagney says, where say what you mean and mean what you say. Because if you're...
Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah, which basically means don't act.
Right.
You know, be here, talk to you. And let me tell you something. If you haven't done the work and you show up on set opposite Robert De Niro and you're not in a place where you can do that, oh, brother. That's a very scary, scary place.
When did you feel confident about that? I
mean, well, for Limitless, I worked so hard to make sure. You know, it's like overstudying, you know. But here's the trick, though. The trick is you could do all that, but if you don't let it all go and relax, it's going to be worthless. So that's the sort of odd, you know, it's such a hard thing to talk about. Because you really then have to, because it's almost, what am I saying? I'm saying you have to not act, but I'm an actor, so what am I saying? You know, what does that even mean? When I'm saying, well, all you do is try not to act, you know, and then the idea of throwing everything away. But, it, you know, it's very much like sports. I mean, Michael Jordan isn't doing, you know, practicing his dribbling when he's playing a game. You know, he's doing something else. He's not practicing free throws in the middle of a game. You know, But
I'll tell you something about Michael Jordan and all the greats I have ever known or interviewed here. They are always the guys who work the hardest.
Yeah, I think that's very true for acting as well.
Silver Lining is a movie that's getting a lot of attention, and he has created a wonderful character. And I'm always honored when he comes and takes a few minutes to sit at this table, so thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. It's a